And we're back with another special episode of Thirst and 10. Our favorite guest of all time, Bart Winkler, is with us. Bart, how are you doing?
Wow. Who am I in the running with? Anyone?
We've had some better than expected guests. So we had Grant on last week. We've had Tim Dillard on. We've had Matt Ramage on. A couple other people.
Well, come on. They're all three of those guys above me.
I mean, you're the only one that's ever been invited back 4 times. So
you're the first one to do Chug or Shrug.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm also the one that has my entire day free all the time, always.
Well, that's even better.
That helps us too then.
Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing me back.
Perfect. Thanks for coming on back. So let's jump into it. The Green Bay Packers offense has been very mediocre the first 4 weeks. Are we on week 4 or 5? I don't remember. First 5 weeks, I want to say. Who do you blame for the Packers' struggles, LaFleur or Goody?
So I'm very anti-LaFleur right now. I'm very much anti-LaFleur. I think they're 2-3, which what did we expect at this point? 3-2. So maybe they're a touch worse than we thought. I mean, losing to the Raiders, I don't think anybody thought that was going to be a loss. So that one kind of stinks. If they lose to Denver, you might as well just tank. I mean, you suck. But they, who do you blame? LaFleur or Goody? Of those two, I would blame. Well, that's a good question. I saw a tweet that's sticking with me that says, when you have a really young team, you need really good coaches. And do the Packers have really good coaches? Like I asked the other day on Twitter, name something LaFleur does good as a coach. And people would it was either Bears fans saying like, LOL, they're feeling it, or they don't know how to deal with a bad quarterback, and I don't think Love's bad. But with LaFleur, it's just like, I don't know what he does good. I mean, I think he makes good schemes and concepts, but I saw another tweet where someone said he's in the 1980s. Like they think run to set up the passes, run on first, run on second, pass on third. They're not putting him in great situations, Love. Defensively, Joe Barry stinks, but he's like, so the other guys are now stepping up and stinking too, where he's not even the worst problem. And then in one of his better games, like they did good on Devontae. But then there's the picture of Preston Smith, like on Devontae. And so he can't even get out of his own way there. I don't know. I have the issue I have with LaFleur is he's kind of like become the new Coach Bud for me, where the guy's won. I mean, he didn't win a title, but he's got a good winning percentage. Bud had Giannis, LaFleur had Rodgers. But what do they do? And then the same things that I think they need to get better at in year 5 are the same things I think they need to get better at in year 1. Like in-game adjustments and, going to the podium and being like, oh, Chucks, I screwed up again, guys. Oh, man. Not knowing when to use timeouts properly, facing situations in games where it seems like it's unheard of that, whoa, we could have a 4th and 2 in this. And I don't know. It just seems like a lot of stuff is still new for him 5 years in. The roster's not great, but we knew the roster wasn't going to be great. I still think with the defenders that they have, there's like, you can get a lot more out of them with a better coordinator. So I wouldn't really say it's on Goot. To answer the question, I'd say LaFleur.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I feel like when I watch LaFleur calling plays, I feel like he calls plays the same way I take a test I didn't study for. I'm like, well, I haven't guessed C in a while. Like LaFleur calls plays and he goes, well, I haven't called the deep ball in a while. I haven't called the screen pass in a while. It's like nothing is set up, though, when you watch the way LaFleur calls a game. It's just like, guess we'll try the screen.
And that's something that's something that he was supposed to be good at. Like there was a George Kittle quote that came up again where sometimes Shanahan, according to Kittle, will come up with a play that isn't going to work because they want it to work in the fourth quarter. They want you to see it and then expect it. And then in the fourth quarter, they'll run like I thought the whole thing with LaFleur's offense was going to be you run similar concepts that it does set up a play for later in the game. I thought there was like a level of nuance to it where you're going to see this, but really why you're seeing this particular run in the first quarter of this game is because in the third quarter of this game, we're going to run it again, but we're going to slip out a wide receiver and you're not like, that's where I thought it was going to be. And I don't know. It just seems like hand the ball off to AJ Dillon 20 times.
Hey, he was our best offensive player on Monday night.
Yeah, but he's
which
still
isn't
going,
saying
he's
much.
still
Tough
going,
to win like that.
he's still going as slow as that plow that he's playing on Farm Simulator or whatever the hell he was up to.
Oh, we're actually pivoting to a Farm Simulator show. So
Good.
if you have any hot Farm Simulator takes, now would be the time.
I do not.
Okay.
So are we being too tough on the Packers? You mentioned how young they are. Are we too tough on them right now?
I mean, they have played bad.
That's
So, but then the thing is, like, one of the things that I needed to realize, and I'm still going through it, and I think we all are, is we're still reacting to games like we're an 11-5 team. We're still reacting to games like we're a Super Bowl contender. You know, the biggest thing for me, I think we're getting out of that a little bit because that horse collar play on Christian Watson, if that happened in a year where we were expected to be good, we'd be talking about that all week. And the rule needs to change, and we got screwed. But it like barely came up, at least from what I heard, because everyone was too busy trying to say definitive things on Jordan Love or Matt LaFleur. And I think that we understand, like we see this. We see this apple, okay, and we know it's an apple, and we know when we're gonna bite into it, it is an apple, but then it tastes like an orange, and we're like, what the fuck? Like we know what I can say for that, right?
Yeah.
I forget.
Say whatever you want.
Well, I'm doing CBS later, and I almost caught myself a few times the other night. I almost said a few fucks.
Well, if you want to warm it up, then and let's say frick instead.
Yeah, I gotta get in frick mode.
Or get it out of your system.
Yeah, one way or another, I'm saying fuck on the radio tonight. But so I don't know. I think that we're still acclimating to knowing that this team is not that good, but they also like if they play like ass, you're going to be able to say that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't say we're being too hard. I would say that they suck, and we're saying that they suck. I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right that we're acclimating. Like in the beginning, like every time they lost, the first couple times, it was like, they lost. And now it's kind of that they find new ways to suck, but it's not like a shock that they lost, you know?
I mean, even though they are a young team, like the Raiders suck, and McDaniels is awful. And they shouldn't have beat you.
I mean,
You know,
like,
but then like our offensive line is young and no good right now. And they have a game record in Max Crosby. And I just you lose to a bad team, whatever. If they lose to Denver, man. If they would have lost, at least just don't lose those. Like if you're gonna lose to Detroit, okay? They're better than you. Lose to the Saints or Atlanta. You lost to Atlanta. Who cares? Don't lose to the Bears, though. Don't lose to the Broncos. Like, don't lose to the real crappy teams. Just, I'm not ready for that.
Coming up, right? Is it?
I'm not ready.
Carolina's awful.
Yeah.
I mean,
Carolina.
like when you saw that McDaniels decided to kick the field goal, what was that, a 50-yard field goal? When they were running it down our throats, we had no answer for it. I kind of felt like that was Mark Davis calling down from the press box going, you realize like we're trying to get Caleb Williams here, right? Like, what are we doing trying to win this game? Like, we had this one marked as a loss the whole time. And then all of a sudden, like last second, he decides to put on Carlson, who apparently is the worst of the Carlson brothers. But yeah, like that was a pathetic loss.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Packers have a lot of these teams on their schedule that want to lose. and they're gonna lose to it. You can't lose the teams that want to lose.
This is the year to lose too, especially for a lot of teams. Like Caleb Williams has to be the most can't miss college quarterback since Trevor Lawrence, probably.
Well, and you know, some Packer fans have already said let's go with that route, which you're not that bad. Although if they rip off like 3 more losses in a row and Love doesn't look good, then we'll see. Wait, 1 week at a time, guys. Our schedule is so bad, even with us being bad. Like this team shouldn't win any less than 6 games, worst case.
We did a breakdown, week by week schedule in which we tried to predict the Packers season.
I like to forget that.
I had them going 7-1 to start the season, and not because I thought the Packers were good, just because I knew the schedule was easy. Now I had them, I think, going like 9-7 or 9-8 or something like that to finish. But the teams that they're losing to right now, it's like we haven't seen this pretty much in my entire life. We've never seen a Packer team lose these games before.
Yeah, I know, and you know, there's a lot of people like. There's a certain subsection of Packer fans that did live through the 70s and 80s that are mad that many of us did not, and almost like want us to be bad so that we can feel it. Like they got to feel all the good and so did we, but they got to feel the bad and we never did. And so they want us to feel the bad. So they're like, I don't know. The like when I argue on Twitter, I realize the Bucks fans I argue with are like 17-year-old Bucks fans who don't know anything about anything, who think that any like a loss to New Orleans in February is the worst thing that's ever happened to them in their life. And then Packer fans on Twitter are all these like 69-year-old dudes that it's still the one app on their phone that they can't quite figure out. But they know how to, you know, they punch, it takes them screw you, Bart. You know, it's weird. Bucks fans are babies. Packer fans are much older.
Well, and so many Packer fans too. Like if you go up to like the northern part of the state, like a lot of those people, they're not Brewers fans. They're not Bucks fans. They're only Packer fans. Like they don't care about basketball. They don't care about baseball. So they don't realize that I go through that, or I have gone through that with the Bucks for however many years when Herb Cole couldn't figure out what he wanted to do. I went through it with the Brewers, right? Like I took a picture of my son who's 9 months old watching Brewers playoff baseball last week and went, you experienced this in 9 months. It took me 17 years of my life to see a Brewers playoff game. Like
same result, you know.
But. Yeah, well, you know, we'll get into the Brewers later, but like I go through it.
Yeah, we have like we know heartache.
Yeah, like
I mean, I've had plenty of heartache. Trust me.
I'm an opportunist. I actually like it when the teams are bad, so I can go to games for cheap. But
I've made that point. I like that as well, especially when you have a kid.
Yeah,
it's nice when tickets are cheap. Like Giannis and Dame are together. I want to take my kid, but I'm not paying $80.
You can go. They just announced a scrimmage next week. It's like $5.
Yeah, I know, but and I know the Packers play at 3, but I just don't want to miss red zone.
We got to have those priorities. One more thing for the Packers: does it make sense to add another weapon?
No.
So you're not a Jerry Jeudy guy. You're not a
why? Else. Get rid of people.
Who would you
get rid of? Preston Smith. Get rid of Nixon. Get rid of anyone who's like anything. Get rid of them. Jerry Jeudy? No, I don't want Jerry Jeudy.
Well, and we could have had DeAndre Hopkins before the season started, and I think the approach that the front office took was, we want Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed. We want those guys to get those reps. These guys aren't going to get better unless they play. So I was kind of against getting like a DeAndre Hopkins even. So I don't see why you would pivot now and then get a Jerry Jeudy.
And like, even if Jerry Jeudy's the guy, we're a Jerry Jeudy away from what?
the second place in the NFC North.
Like, what are we? What
Like,
does Jerry Jeudy make this team? Does he do anything to it? You know,
Probably not.
so no, I don't. If we're doing buyers or sellers for the trade market, we are not buyers.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised if a Preston Smith gets moved. Has Savage played good enough to get moved? Like, Savage does everything right except tackle. Like, he just can't tackle.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's move on. Let's be a little bit more optimistic. What is your hype level for the Bucks right now?
The most that it's ever been. And I complain about this. And I wonder what people, because when I do the CBS Sports Radio, especially when I talk about the Bucks, I wonder just like people driving around in Wyoming are thinking, because I'm just this one guy going like, man, we got Giannis and Dame, and the Celtics are still the team. What are you doing? But it is weird. Like, I feel we're at a level here where the Damian Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo pairing should be treated like LeBron joining the Heat with Wade and Bosh, with KD joining that Warriors team. This is a big deal. This is unlike something that we've ever seen. These two guys, there's going to be so many things that open up for them, that levels of their game that they've never had before. They've already talked about it. Eric Name wrote a great piece in The Athletic. Like, Damian Lillard has seen certain coverages and certain defenses on him for 10 years. He is going to see those same things, only now with Giannis there. And same with Giannis. Like, not to take away anything, they've won a championship. But Giannis has never played with anyone like Damian Lillard. I mean, how do you, these guys, there's, Drew Holiday, there's comps to Drew in this league. There's comps to Chris Middleton in the league. You can trade Chris Middleton and get a guy that's like Chris Middleton. You can trade Drew and same thing. There's not another Dame. If anyone, it's Steph. You're getting something that you have not. It's just no. This is going to be crazy. I can't wait for the preseason debut. I can't wait for the regular season action. And really, as a fan too, it reinvigorated the fan base. I think, like, with the Brewers and bites of the apple, it's the same strategy every year, even with the Packers. They never did anything different. They never went all in. Like, they never got a guy that was super exciting. Sometimes to reinvigorate a fan base, you need to do one of two things. You need to suck and then be good again. And then it's like, oh my God, I forgot how great it was. Like if the Packers are bad for many years and then all of a sudden they're 6-0 to start the season, that 6-0 is going to feel a lot different than any of the nice starts they've had to any other season, because they'll suck for a while. Or you need to just like keep getting stronger and bigger. Next year's team was going to be a title favorite with Drew. And now you have Damian Lillard. And now, like, the playoffs were really not going to start the season wasn't going to start until the playoffs again. Now every game is going to be a party and an event. You have to watch these guys together. So my hype level could not be higher for the Bucks.
And I feel like the forgotten guy in this whole trade is Chris Middleton. Like, people forget how good Chris Middleton actually is. And now what? You're going to put your best big man defender on Giannis. You're going to put your best perimeter defender on Dame. And Chris Middleton just going to cook somebody? Like, he's going to just cook some Grayson Allen type or somebody, like the same person that for the playoffs the last 2 years, we were like, God, I hope like Grayson Allen doesn't get matched up against this guy. Or I hope George Hill doesn't get matched up against this guy. Like, I feel like Chris Middleton is going to benefit from this more than anybody. And he's the one guy nobody's talking about.
Yeah, it'll open up things for him a lot. Even Brooke Lopez, whatever. There's so many weird, like, there's just so many weird, like, if you want to try to be critical about the Bucks, people are trying to say defense. I mean, and then Giannis gets voted best defender in the league by the GM. So, like, we forget they have guys that can play defense. And Damian Lillard said something too. He's like, I never could play defense. I had to be all offense. he can it's not like he's just gonna like let you walk by him, you know. He'll play some defense, but also then the depth thing. It's like, oh, they have no depth. They have no depth. They have a lot of depth. It's not like they have Dame and Giannis and then Vet Mins. They got a lot. Brooke Lopez is a guy that doesn't get brought up either. And so they've got a lot of, even the new guys they brought in. Like, they just signed Campaign. That does nothing for nobody. Malik Beasley. I mean, these are very, like, this is just what this team needs. And so it is kind of annoying. They got a first-year head coach. We'll see how he acclimates to this whole thing. So there's something where you could say, yeah, you know, it's a little concerning. But no one's saying that. It's all, oh, they got Dame. He's worse on defense than Drew. Okay, well, who cares? I mean, we got Dame. It's just weird.
You're not concerned about the fifth starter at all? I know a lot of people have opinions on who that should be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's fine opinions. Could be Marjan, could be Beasley. You know, honestly, I would just for like a month, I would just pick it out of a hat. Who cares? Who cares? What are they? I mean, what are they gonna do? Now, if you want a guy that's like, all right, this guy needs to be the guy who's gonna defend their best player. I think that's the role that they want to have, because you don't want to, you know, take away Giannis's energy, and Middleton's not great, and you know, Lopez has to be where he has to be. So that would probably be more of a defensive guy. But also, I mean, you're going to outscore these teams, you would think. Just let everybody get a crack for a week. You got the whole season to figure it out. Beasley, it's your week. Thanasis, it's your week. I don't care. Figure it out. That's the thing that they can try to figure out and mesh before the playoffs. But, yeah, I mean, if it's Beasley, I'm not going to be like mad it's Marjan or not Marjan or whatever. I mean, I don't know, man. They got Dame, like, and Giannis. People are acting like the Bucks just got Dame and almost forgetting the Giannis part of it. They got Dame to play with Giannis. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think sometimes it's tough to like zoom out far enough to realize like how crazy it is that the Bucks got Dame and Giannis. Like, if Adam Silver before the Dame trade was just like, you know what, we're just gonna shuffle everything up, and we're just gonna make everybody on a random team, and one team got Giannis and Damian Lillard, everybody would be like, that's the greatest team. Nobody's gonna compete with that team. And the fact that it actually happened in real life and it was the Bucks who got it, it's like, I'm still in shock from it.
Well, I think this is like, they shut down that Chris Paul trade to the Lakers 15 years ago. Like, this one is way more advantageous for us. So I mean, yeah. And John Horst was great in this whole thing, you know, to be able to talk to the Trailblazers and kind of control the terms of the trade and not have it leak. And if the Bucks never traded for Dame, we'd never know. Like right now, Damian Lillard could be on the Heat or wherever. We would have never known that Horst was trying to do anything and that Drew Holiday was we'd never know. I don't know when we would know. But that was the whole point. He didn't want it to leak. It didn't leak. And they did a great job, all for really a pick that is going to be dealt or given in like 2030 or whatever. And then the right now you can trade Drew Holiday. So they, you know, they keep saying the Bucks have no assets. Somehow they've been able to trade for Drew Holiday, trade for Dame, make these stupid Jake Crowder type deals. Somehow they're able to do it. They have no assets, but they're always trading for guys. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, I mean, they were probably in on Bradley Beal too. And
yeah, I think they were.
Luckily, they didn't get Beal because I think Damian's a lot better. So yeah. I'm sure Phoenix is probably kicking themselves right now that they gave up all their assets for Beal and they could have had Lillard. Like, how does somebody like Damian Lillard just not generate a huge market? You know, how is there not 10, 12 teams bidding to get him? It seems like it was Miami. Everybody just assumed it was Miami. And
well,
then,
I mean, it's an expensive contract, but I think the Bucks, I mean, figure that out when it's time to figure that out. You've got you're on the doorstep of an NBA championship. And the Heat, they screwed themselves, man. They screwed themselves. John Horst presents his best offer, like he's like, hey, here's our offer. This is what we can. I'm literally every asset that I can give you, we will do. And the Heat are like, they gave them their not best offer right away and said, you're not getting anything better. We could do better. You're not getting better. Nobody else, like they screwed themselves. So to be mad at Joe Cronin or whatever these Heat fans are mad about, they screwed themselves. And I'm glad that John Horst and the Bucks are good at not being complacent. They want to win. Very different regime than what we've ever known.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like GMs, like the Brewers especially, general managers are always trying to win the trade. I would rather get Carlos Santana for below market value than give you my best assets to get Pete Alonso. Even though Pete Alonso, maybe you would still be playing if you had a Pete Alonso. But like for Pat Riley, he's thinking, I want to win the trade. I want to get more in return than I give up. And the Bucks are over here like, no, we just want the player. And there's something that's really just satisfying about that as a fan. Like, we got the guy. Like, that's all I want as a fan. I don't want to win the trade. I want to get better.
Well, they did pretty good in the trade, though. Also, like
they did. So,
I mean, they're trading. No one has mentioned Grayson Allen since that initial transaction. Like that, they basically these picks are going to be so far out. What did it cost you to turn Drew into Dame? Grayson Allen,
right?
It's essentially, no offense to Grayson, that's essentially nothing.
And we can hate him again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although he kind of won me over, I think. Well, we'll see. If all of a sudden he goes 6 for 7 against us in the finals or something stupid, that'll be what happens.
Well, we just got to find somebody to hunt him in a matchup like Boston did, and he'll go away. So, one last one for the Bucks. Do they need more defense?
I don't think so. You don't have to be a perfect team. The Bucks are being judged out of 100 when they're a 98. It's like you don't have to be perfect to win the NBA championship. You can get better, and maybe they look for that. Maybe Portis gets traded. Maybe something happens. I don't know. They get more of a defensive guy, so they can always improve. But the Bucks are being like, the Bucks made this trade, and people are saying, well, here's where you're still missing. We got Damian Lillard to be with Giannis. Even if it was that and 3 scrubs starting, I'd still be jacked. Brooke Lopez and Chris Middleton are on the floor, guys. I think people are going to be in for a very rude awakening about how little they are giving credit to the Bucks. Once you start to see this happen, it's going to be like, oh, shoot. We should have been more worried. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, the first time Dame lobs it up to Giannis, I'm a freak out.
It's going to be awesome.
The whole building's going to be rough. I think they play Philadelphia the first week, and it's like I want tickets to that game so bad.
Yeah, it'll be a tough one.
It's going to be tough to get tickets, for sure. Nobody's selling those tickets.
No.
Just because I lead the fan club of this player specifically, this is the one guy I wish was still on the Bucks, but Wesley Matthews, he seems to be like the perfect fit for like a 5th starter role. Just do the dirty work defensively. But, I get why they didn't re-sign him. So,
well, the last time he left the team, we won a title. So
there you go.
We're going to win it again.
Perfect.
Poor Wesley. He's going to be here in the 3 of the 5 years we don't win the title.
That would be awesome, especially if we went on a run where we won it like 3 out of 4 years or something.
Yeah. Poor guy.
So we did have some breaking Brewers news come in not too long ago. Brandon Woodruff is out for the season. Do you think that makes it more likely that they'll trade Corbin Burns?
That's where my first thought was, I mean, this is a huge blow. This is an absolutely huge blow. And for me, I'm already down on next season because the baseball regular season's a waste of time. I've discovered with this format in the playoffs. And yeah, now Brandon Woodruff is out for most of the year, if not all. I don't know what you want 2024 to be. You know, you're probably going to lose Burns. That relationship's not good anyway. So a trade might happen. And are you going to sign Willie Adames? I called Willie Adames the Daniel Jones of shortstops the other day because he is like, I don't think he's as good as the common Brewer fan. And shortstops get paid now $30 million. I'm not paying him a lot of money. Daniel Jones got paid because Giants are like, it's the best we can do. And this is the position that gets paid. So I think Willie might be on the outs. I don't know, man. I don't know. The Brandon Woodruff news is so, unless I'm too fresh and reacting to it, it's bad. And maybe it does dictate some things that happen in the offseason. I think, yeah, it makes it more likely. Definitely.
Well, I called Willie Adames the A.J. Dillon of the Brewers, a guy who's beloved by the fan base but doesn't really produce. So I don't know.
I've
Maybe
never
Daniel
been in
Jones
on
is
AJ, man. Willie. I've never been in on Willie. He's just not. He's not my favorite. He's the favorite guy because there's nobody else to be the favorite guy. Like, my thing is, who do you buy a jersey of? If you're a Brewer fan, Yelich probably already had one, or you're like, screw that. And then you're like, well, who's going to be here? Churio jerseys will fly off the shelf when he comes up. Contreras, yeah, he buys jersey. Mitchell. Now there's guys, but for a while it was like, I'm not buying a Rowdy Tellez jersey. What the hell? And so a lot of people buy Adames ones. And I don't know. He had a lot of great home runs when they were down 6-1.
That sounds like a lot of people on the Brewers, though. Like,
oh yeah, they suck.
But yeah, it is interesting that you say that because I bought my son a Jordan Love jersey, and then I'm trying to buy him a Damian Lillard jersey, but it never even crossed my mind to buy him a Brewers jersey. So like, I never even thought about it. So
I don't blame you.
Just don't put a player on it. That's fine.
All right. Would you say like this loss in the playoffs was the most defeating loss that the Brewers have ever had? Like, it wasn't the most heartbreaking loss, but it was just defeating.
I thought I was very proud of myself that I didn't react too negatively to it. It just like it ended, and I'm like, okay, I'm over it. I realized when I saw the Diamondbacks advance to the NLCS that I was actually very mad. And I'm, it's every year it's very, so they need to do something. Bites of the apple in this format works. It just hasn't worked for the Brewers. And so they need to find a way, like, how do we win these games? And I think where that's going to come down to is they need power. You can't small ball and pitch your way to the World Series. It'd be romantic if you could, but there's some home run stat I saw. It was like teams that out homer teams in the playoffs are 180 and 20 in the last however many games that is. It's just it's bonkers. And so they might have to, switch their philosophy there. But again, what kind of team are you going to have now? What kind of the Woodruff injury is bad. Maybe I'm talking myself into they do with Corbin what they were going to do. They're still going to try to compete. The Brewers are not going to be a team, especially with stadium stuff going on and, trying to get fans at the ballpark. I don't think they ever want to be a team that is going to say, all right, everyone, this is a rebuild. Expect 65 wins. I don't think they want to do that. They'd much rather be, they're kind of like where the Bucks were prior to the new ownership with Herb Cole. It's like, we want to compete. We want to keep you engaged. We want to stay competitive. And so they'll find ways to do it. But I don't know. I don't know that they have it. I don't know. But then young guy like the Diamondbacks, I don't think are that good. But you got a couple of pitchers and some good offensive talent. You don't need to be perfect to win. And so maybe the Brewers, Freddie Peralta has a great year. Aaron Ashby figures it out. They bring up, some other guy, and then Churio's up. And who knows? There's There's always hope in this dumb sport. So we'll see. But yeah, right now I'm not giddy. I'm not eager for hot stove. I can wait for the Brewers. Okay. I'm fine waiting.
Yeah, I mean, once you start to tank, like you can't put the cat back in the bag. Like once you start to tank, once you say, hey, we're gonna bottom out, we're gonna lose 65 games this season, you are on a minimum 5-year path. And I don't think the Brewers want to go down that. So
I don't want to witness it. And
But
not
we could
now.
cheap
Now
tickets.
again, not with all this stadium stuff going on, man.
yeah, that is true.
So you mentioned the MLB postseason. Do you like it the way it is, or do you think they need to fix it?
Well, I hate it. So what I think is they thought and it's trial and error. I think they thought that the week off was a reward for the teams that are 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that it is. Because not only do you take them out of the routine of baseball, but the team that they have to play then comes in having been in that routine and is hot and they get the playoff vibes going. They get the crowd behind them. They get the city behind them. And so it's like when you're a jogger, you see when people are jogging at the stoplight.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's because they want to keep the momentum going. Well, baseball's telling you to stop. Don't. You're running, stop, and then start and make your body go through all that again. I mean, there's a reason. It looks dumb. There's a reason people do it. It's to keep the blood flow going. And baseball's telling you to stop. And they thought it was an advantage because you go to the next round, which that's an advantage. But then you give them a week off, and I think that neuters the advantage a little bit. And through you don't want to be in the wild card round because you could lose. But if you win, I think you have more of an advantage than the team that you're playing. I don't think home field is that important in baseball. It can be, but you can also take a crowd out of it very early, as we saw Arizona do to the Dodgers. So, yeah, I don't like it. And I would say the whole 3-5-7, I don't understand why at every level on your league side, the series have to be different. That is real dumb. So I would either say have it be 4 and do a 7-7, or if baseball wants to say, no, we need more money, then go 8. Then you're getting more teams excited. The playoffs might be a little longer, but you don't need all these off days in October. You don't take all these off days in May, June, April, July, whatever. You don't need them in October. You can play 30 playoff games in 35 days if you need to. And if the World Series ends on November 6th, oh no, we will live as a society. We will get through this. So I'm not arguing for big market teams. People are saying, well, so just give it to the highest payroll. No, the Orioles were the 28th highest payroll. They haven't signed a multi-year free agent in 20 years. They don't spend money. They got screwed. So I'm totally out on the playoff structure.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of college football, right? Like originally they had 2, and then we were all mad about that. And then they went to 4, and I don't know what the right number is for college football, but 4 was never going to work. You can't have 5 conferences, 4 teams make it. Now you have baseball, in which it was 4, then they went to 5, then they went to 8 for 1 year, then they went back to 6. And 6 is the wrong number. You either have to go back to 4 or go all the way to 8. I can't imagine that any sponsor wants to hear hey, those commercial breaks that you paid for? Yeah, we're not selling those anymore. So I can't imagine that they're going back to 4. It almost has to be 8, but I don't know, how is the union going to react to that? Do they want more games for their players? Is that more of a risk for injury? It's going to get messy, and I don't know how baseball gets out of it.
I don't either. It doesn't sound like Rob Manfred's too eager to change it. And I think the fact that there's a lot of people that want it changed means it will not get changed. So we'll see.
All right. I got 5 names for you. Now, I wrote this question before the Brandon Woodruff injury, so that may or may not impact your thoughts. But I want you to rank these 5 people based on how upset you would be if they left. From most upset to least upset. Okay.
Yeah.
Willie Adames, Brandon Woodruff, Corbin Burns, Craig Counsell, Bob Uecker.
I'd be most upset if Craig left. I don't know. Because maybe they do need a change. But so we're like leaving to another team?
Yeah, I mean, just leave. Like, obviously, Bob Uecker's not going to announce for a different team, but he could just retire.
Well, that would make me sad. I wouldn't be upset. Counsell leaving to another team would, if he leaves and he just leaves, that's fine. If he leaves and goes to the Mets, if he leaves and goes to another team, that'll suck. But if he leaves and goes to the Mets, I'll be fucking pissed off. So that would sway where I rank him. Adames, I look forward to the day. Burns, look, I can't pitch in the playoffs. I don't know. It's not. Sorry. And then Woodruff, I guess, is the only one that I don't know. Uecker, Counsell, Woodruff, Burns, Willie.
Wow, Bob Uecker the most upset.
Yeah, well, we'll be sad.
I think, I still feel like Corbin Burns can just figure it out. You know, like, we finally have a pitcher. I think I'd probably be most upset if Corbin Burns left, and then Craig Counsell, Woodruff, Uecker, Adames. Like, I've already prepared myself for Uecker leaving. You know, I've cried my tears, but Adames, I think, is the one that I would care the least about.
Yeah, I don't care. Take my wife, please. Take her. You know what I mean?
All right. One last Brewers thing. Will they ever make a Damian Lillard type move?
They can't. Will they ever make a Damian Lillard type move?
They can't just because they won't, or
not. I mean, Mark can't. They can't.
So you don't think he could afford it, or you just think he won't do it?
He won't afford it.
Well, what would be a Damian Lillard type move? Like even Pete Alonso?
Pete Alonso. Let's say Pete Alonso.
Because they'll never do like Shohei. I mean,
no.
Right?
Well, I mean, if you were going to do it, this would have been the year. It would have cost you Jackson Chourio. But, you know, if you want a great player, you have to give up something great in return. So if they were going to do it, it would have been Chourio for Shohei.
I mean, they do have Caro and you do have Contreras, right? So, like, that could be one of those guys in the move.
The greatest that I've ever felt for a trade was either that Yelich Kane night or when we got Zach Greinke. And then the Sabathia. So the Sabathia was like that's the closest thing they had in my life to a Dame trade. I don't know. I don't know that they do anything like that again. I don't know that they're in a spot where they feel good enough about their big league team and are willing to part with guys they like in the minors. If it's a money thing, then no. From a competitive standpoint, from a trade standpoint, they're not where they need to be to even think about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right. Like, it's always the money with the Brewers. It's not about being competitive. It's about making money. So I just can't see them doing that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to kick it over to Marcus.
All right. It's time for everybody's favorite game. It's time for Chug or Shrug. That's right. You know the rules. We have a 6-pack of alcoholic beverages. If you like it, chug. This hand, chug. If you don't like it, shrug. And because it's...
Are you guys chugging if I say chug?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Why are we taping this before I got to do work?
You can chug Mountain Dew. You can chug that green soda.
Dude, Mountain Dew Zero is way better than Mountain Dew Diet.
Sprite Zero is a lot better than like Diet Sprite.
But Coke Zero is worse than Diet Coke.
Yes, I would agree with that. I'm not a huge Coke guy though.
I can't drink Pepsi. It hurts my belly.
All right. Well, because
though.
it's Halloween month. I'm sorry to hear that. We'll try not to put Pepsi in any of these. It's Halloween month and it's Friday the 13th. We're gonna start it and end it with something dark and mysterious. So our first one, Guinness, Chug or Shrug?
Ooh, Chug Guinness. Chug.
Chug.
Mhm. We like Guinness. I go on, I'm that guy that buys a 6-pack the week of St. Patrick's Day.
Irish car bombs or no? Can I say Irish car bombs? Is Spotify going to take me down?
Yeah, can we not? Oh, good call.
Yeah.
I think.
Did you ever do? What did I used to do? Bear fights.
What is that?
I think we made it up because it's like 2 bears fighting in your stomach.
Oh,
And
It's Irish car bombs, and then what's a Jägermeister like shot?
Jaeger bomb? Like
Yeah.
the Red Bull and the Jaeger?
Yeah, Jaeger bomb and an Irish car bomb.
Oh, no.
Jeez. Oh,
That's what
man.
I shrugged that.
I'd try it. I'd have to try it.
Chug.
All right. We're going to keep it with an international flair. Heineken, Chug or Shrug?
Chug. Heineken's okay.
Woo! It's the official beer of UEFA.
Yeah, Heineken's okay. And I think they were one of the first to have an NA beer.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Although NA beers do have a tiny little bit of alcohol.
You're
So
correct.
if you drank 40 NA beers, you might like. Are you really sober?
I don't know. I've never drank 40 NA beers, so I don't see why you would.
You might be fucked up in a different way if you drink 40 NA beers. All right. And our last beer, PBR Pabst Blue Ribbon, Chug or Shrug?
Only Chug, only out of the tap.
Only okay.
Okay.
I think Spotted Cow is the same way. Like Spotted Cow out of the tap is great.
I've come around on Spotted Cow. I was kind of doing anti for a while. I still like 2 Women or Moon Man better from New Glarus.
I like Staghorn a lot.
Okay.
The Cow on Tap is just something about it. I went to have
PBR,
one the other
PBR
night, I
with
had
like
to.
PBR is best at a dive bar with their shit cheeseburger or their shit wings.
Oh, like yeah, PBR at like Buffalo Wild
some
Wings
hot
or something.
wings,
Yeah.
Oh,
100%.
Buffalo Wild Wings. Shrug.
Yeah, I would agree. Yep.
Shrug.
Agreed. All right. So now we're gonna
Okay,
ramp it
I
up.
fucking love Chugger Shrug.
All right, we're ramping it up though. So the next
Aw.
one, mixed drink.
Oh, mixed
Jack?
drinks. Okay.
Jack and Coke, not Pepsi. Chug or Shrug?
Chug.
Okay. That's a classic.
So I'm a very much captain in diet is going to get me. That's why I have these huge bags under my eyes because I pound rum every night. My other go-to are either if I'm at a bar, I'll order either the 4 cocktails I will ever order are Captain Diet, 7 and 7,
Good one.
G&T,
Gin and tonic.
or vodka cranberry.
Oh, vodka. It's almost the season for vodka cranberry.
Big fan. It's always the season.
Yeah.
You have a vodka cranberry around Christmas. It makes the holidays so much better.
I love vodka cran.
Those
Love
4
it.
all over the board. And then if I'm feeling fancy, maybe a Crown and Coke. I'm feeling
Crown.
fancy.
Okay.
Ooh,
Crown Royal.
that is
Yeah.
fancy. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna do shots now. Rumplemints, Chug or Shrug?
Chug.
Yeah. Okay.
Guys, I
Almost out
love
of my
alcohol.
beer.
This is the worst.
It's the toothpastey thing. I don't know. Some people don't enjoy that part.
I will Shrug tequila.
Oh, okay.
See, I said margarita should be on the list, and I got vetoed. So
Well,
We
Margarita's
talked
are
about it
fine.
last time.
okay.
These
We
girls that
decided
I hung out with
everybody
in
loves it.
college, they were just like tequila, tequila, tequila. And it's like, oh, God. I did do once. We did 12 rounds once at a bar. Of
What's
Jose
12 rounds? Is
Cuervo.
that 12 shots
Oh my
of
God.
what?
Well, there's a song that's like 12 rounds of Jose Cuervo. And so we did that once
In how much time?
throughout the day.
Okay. So it's not in like an hour or something like
No, but I don't remember anything after shot 9.
that.
That's not bad. 9 isn't bad. Jose Cuervo will get you. All right, our last one, like I said, dark and mysterious. Sambuca, Chug or Shrug.
I don't know that I've had it.
Oh, damn.
Yes.
He won our bet. I was like, he definitely has tried it.
Have I had it?
It's licoricey. It comes in clear or black.
I don't
So,
think
I
I've
don't know.
had it.
Damn. All right.
You like black licorice?
No.
Like Jaeger?
No,
Are you
so that's a
you're
shrug.
Shrug on Jaeger?
I don't need to drink Jaeger. Straight Jaeger is awful.
Unless there's 2 bears.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
Jaeger
what bear
gives me a
fight.
bit.
hmm
All right. Well, this has been Thurston 10. Thanks for joining us, Bart. Where can the people find you?
If you don't know where I am by now, there's no hope.
That's fair. Well, thanks for joining us. You can follow us on X
Don't.
at Thurston1069. You can find all of our content there. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Peace.
Cheers.